everybody. This is Rosanne Plante, lead lobbyist for Families United Action Network, and welcome to the very first edition of FUAN Talk. Today is a special FUAN Talk. It's not only our first one, but it's one where we're going to honor all the mothers out there. And I have a very special mother with me today that I want to talk to and interview. So with that, I'd like to introduce our guest today, and that is Vanessa. Vanessa, can you please introduce yourself to the FUAN family?
Hi guys, my name is Vanessa Forbes, and it's a pleasure to be here today.
Well, and Vanessa and I are friends, and she's a dear friend, but we started out as clients. And Vanessa, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers how we came about to be acquainted and have our first interaction as attorney-client that now has led to a very nice friendship.
Yes, I can first mostly say that I was blessed enough to be put in contact with you from the beginning. So I just want to thank you deep down and from the bottom of my heart for everything. You've really helped change a lot of things and my strength and everything within me. I found out that my case by Judge Jacobson was on that list of ones that he had done just awfully. I believe it was ghostwritten. And
yes, and just maybe I'll just stop for a minute. So the viewers that are with us today may not understand, but a couple years ago, one of the district court judges here in 3B of Iowa was found to have ghostwritten some opinions, which means that he allowed one of the attorneys, he would select one of the attorneys as the winning attorney, and instead of letting both sides submit stipulated facts, which is more of a normal procedure, he just simply gave a blank check to one side, and that attorney was allowed to completely write what they wanted for their client. And he admitted in a deposition under oath to doing it over 200 times. An independent investigation was launched by the Iowa Attorney General, and it was found that this ghostwriting actually occurred. And you were on that original list of 13, which is how we were put into contact. So tell our viewers a little bit about how that affected you, and sadly and most importantly, what did you lose?
I told myself I wasn't gonna be emotional about it because it's, but
it's okay.
I really do feel like
it's your family.
I feel like I was robbed of being a mom, of being able to be a mom.
And I'll help you if that's okay. Vanessa was in a rough part of your life, and you were a single mom. And because of the whole experience, you actually lost custody of your child. Isn't that correct? Physical custody of your child.
I lost physical custody. I was allowed to see my son 4 days a month.
Mm-hmm.
And every other Christmas, every other Thanksgiving, 2 weeks in the summer, but they couldn't be back to back. I wasn't allowed to have him for more than 10 days at a time without his dad's permission. And again, all of this was done just because that's how how his attorney wrote up our court order. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't abusive. I had a great job. I had a rough family history, survivor of 13 years of child abuse. So I definitely had, my own opinions on things, and I'm very, I vocalize very well. And so I lost my voice. I definitely lost my voice during that because, it was hard at 21 to understand I wasn't allowed to be a mom anymore, and I didn't understand why. It's confusing. It was confusing, very confusing, and I was upset with myself and felt like a failure and felt like I was never going to be good at anything ever, because if you can't even be a mom and a judge You think of judges as these people that are supposed to help people and make the great decisions for everybody. And a judge is telling me that I'm not a good mom and I don't deserve to be a mom. And you only get to see your son 4 days a month. And I did that for 6 years.
And it's devastating. And that's when I met you. That's when our roads converged. And I was outraged by this. I found it in another case I was dealing with. I suspected it, and then I was able to put my information together with another attorney's information. And I was very surprised when I approached the powers that be in the judicial system here in Sioux City that they didn't find it to be as outrageous as I did. And I had met you by then and interviewed some of the other, what I call them, the 13, the list of 13. And I'm very thankful that the Attorney General heard my plea and it launched the investigation. And so once you were on that list and we confirmed that, then we had this enormous task of figuring out how to undo this knot that had been tied to your family. Your family was in this knot and you were blocked off. And we actually worked together, and we had to go back to court and overturn that. So our viewers know, just because the judge, it was clear that he had done this and it was out of protocol, it didn't just magically undo it, did it? And
no, it was lots of sweat and tears from both of us, and it was a long process. And I can say that it's still, for the most part, not fully over. It's going to be a long road, and it's just going to be a long road.
Right. Well, so that our viewers do know, there is a happy ending here, and that is we were able to go back to court. It was overturned. We were able to work through mediation. We had litigation, but we ended up settling with the other party, and you did regain 50-50 custody.
Yes.
We're hoping, someday maybe it might be more than that, but you've come miles, just miles and miles since I met you, and you have on paper custody of your dear boy. But talk about, so that people can understand this, what you lost as a mother, because this theme of today's show is Mother's Day. So you've already shared a little bit, but what did you lose as a mom, and what does the fact that you have those years were taken away mean? And then also, how did it affect your son who was involved in this?
I felt like I was a babysitter in an aspect. I didn't feel like I was actually getting the chance or the opportunity to raise my son how I would like for him to be raised. It was
almost
all
like
left
a
up
visitor in his life rather than a parent.
I was just somebody he'd see, like, as if I was a grandparent. I would see him 4 days a month, Friday at 6 to Sunday at 6. And if you add those hours up, it's 2 days, 2 days every other weekend. And so that was rough. And so it was, for a long time, I not necessarily overspoiled him, but I only had him for a short amount of time. So it was hard for me to discipline him. It was hard for me to set rules and boundaries for him, because I only saw him and I didn't want to have a bad weekend, and I didn't want to have him upset with me because now he's going to be gone for 14 days before I see him again. And it took a long time for me to realize that I can't do that anymore, especially as he got older. So it was rough. And then it definitely, when I was blessed enough to meet my husband and have a second child, it was like a whole new world. I did not know how to be a mom full time. And so it took a lot of work for me to figure that out, for something that I should have already known 6 years ago, So it was rough, and it's still a journey, and he's gone through a lot. I feel that he's been through a lot of trauma. At 1 year old, being taken from your mom, and that's all he's ever known at that point, and then he's ripped away. He doesn't understand. And then when he does see you, or when he did see me and then have to go back, it was very heartbreaking. It was him clinging on to clothes, and then again that replays quite a bit for me still.
That
When
trauma. Yeah, it's
that
definitely
trauma,
a
like,
long lasting.
and it's long lasting, and it definitely like still, and it's still every once in a while I catch myself upset with me that I still didn't understand at that time what I did wrong to have to put my son through that. So it made me feel even worse as a person and as a mother, because whatever I did was that bad that I have to keep making my son go through this.
Mhm. But it actually was not your fault. And you
No, it
realize
was not.
no,
Yeah.
there was nothing you could have done. And I felt like we were both pushing this mountain, I as an attorney in this as uncharted land, trying to get these cases overturned and have you get a second chance at what you should have had in the first place. And then of course that time and those experiences you'll never get back again. And
No.
yeah, and as you know, you've heard me talk about our work here at FUAN and the fact
Yes.
that we believe in shared parenting, that no parent should be a visitor like you felt you were.
Yeah.
The you know, our shared parenting legislation, which immediately would grant a parent shared parenting unless there was some overwhelming reason not to. So in your case, that would have made a difference, wouldn't it have? If that law
yes.
we're hoping for would have been in place, it would have avoided this trauma that now that you and your son unfortunately will always have in your you know, in your past, in your psyche.
Oh yeah, had that been in place years ago, I truly feel that I would have had equal parenting rights during that time, and still now going into today with him, and that he wouldn't be as traumatized as he was or still is and still working through. We've had to put him into therapy to help him get through those traumas and other things that he's endured going through this lifestyle that he's been forced to live. And it's going to be a long journey for him, as he's only 8. You know, he's going to be 9 here in a couple weeks, but at 9 years old, it's heartbreaking to know that you have to put your child through trauma-focused therapy to help him cope and to get through the lifestyle that he never asked for.
If you were given a chance to meet with the judge that did this to you, what would you like him or any of the judges currently sitting on the bench, you know, making these life-altering, long, you know, lifetime decisions that have all of these repercussions and these waves that project from these decisions? What do you want the judiciary and those judges making those decisions to know from a mother's perspective, as a mother of a mother involved in one of the 13 cases? What do you really want them to know or bring or refocus their attention on when they're making these lifelong decisions for people?
That's hard, you know. That's a mix of emotions. I guess I just want them to know that the power that they hold really can alter and change not only that parent's life, but that child's life. And it may not be for the best. It may not be for the best on either the child or the other parent. You know, I could have been one of those moms or parents that lost custody and then was, you know, just went and did drugs and did all kinds of horrible lifestyle choices and things. And I didn't. I used that as strength to try to keep pushing forward. But they just need to be aware and know that they really need to buckle down and like really consider and think about the choices that they're going to make that are going to alter these other people's lives, and the outcome that it could give a child. So if they put themselves in the other parent's shoes or in the place of the parent that's going to court, I think it would make a huge difference. Had one of the judges or even Judge Jacobson been the person, had been me in court,
right,
I think he'd understand.
right. that behind every file is a real family. It's not just a file of paper.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, Vanessa, I know this is hard to talk about, but I really wanted you to be our first guest and our mom that we honored, because it has been, we started out as a client, attorney-client. We've ended as friends. I have such amazing respect for you and admiration. And you are the reason that I practice law, because I made a difference in your life. That's why I went to law school, but I saw you grow as a person, as a mom. So our viewers know there is a happy ending. You have an amazing husband, and he serves our country in the military. You have two, in addition to the little boy we talked about tonight, you have two additional just folks. They're just darling little boys. So you have my three sons at your house. And
Yes.
there is a happy ending. You have a fantastic job. You're a manager now in the corporate world, and things can turn around. And if a mom is listening right now who was you 2 years ago, if she's if she's today in the shoes you were 2 years ago, what's one thing you'd say to her tonight?
There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I do believe that there are lots of other Rosannes out there that will step up and help parents like me fight and give us our voices back.
Wow.
And help us reconnect with our children.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that,
So
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank you again. Just, you've been a blessing to my family, and I'm just more thankful than I can express.
Oh, well, and it was my pleasure. And your story and helping families like yours is the mission. That is the core mission of FUAN. And that's why we really wanted to have this be the first FUAN talk, and then a special one for moms out there. So thank you for your time today. And we so appreciate it. We, from the FUAN family, we wish you just a wonderful Mother's Day and just blessings in the future. And just thank you for having the courage to walk this journey, especially with me as your partner in this legal journey. And also thank you for sharing your story here on FUAN Talk. And we just want to thank everybody who joined us today. And if you have any suggestions for upcoming shows or inspirational guests you'd like one of the FUAN board members to interview, please contact the FUAN board, or please check out our Facebook or webpage. And thank you, Vanessa. Have a great Mama's Day.